I was sitting in a coffee shop this morning just trying to answer a few emails, and I ended up getting distracted by the sheer volume of noise around me, just this wall of chatter. And it hit me. It is absolutely wild that we can do this.
Ooh, what? Ignore deadlines to people watch.
No, well, yes, that too. I mean, communicate. Really think about the mechanics of it.
Okay.
I have this abstract, messy, nonlinear cloud of an idea in my brain. It's not words yet, it's just a feeling or a logic spike or a memory.
Right.
And somehow I have to force that abstract cloud through this tiny biological filter, my vocal cords, turn it into a specific string of vibrating air molecules.
It's hope.
And hope that when those vibrations hit your ear, you can reconstruct that exact same cloud in your brain.
And hope that you don't reconstruct a storm cloud when I actually meant, a sunbeam.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It feels like magic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But today's deep dive argues that it is strictly mechanics.
If
we are cracking the code on a fascinating set of research notes titled Language as a Meaning Text Transformer. And honestly, that title alone kind of rewires how you look at a dictionary.
It really does. We usually romanticize language. It's poetry, it's culture, it's identity, and those things are true, of course.
Sure.
But the source material we're covering today strips all that paint off the walls. It looks at the studs in the wiring. It argues that language is fundamentally a biological device, a machine.
A transformer, which, for the record, is not a robot in disguise.
Not quite. Think of it as a converter, an encoder and a decoder.
Okay.
In this model, the text posits two distinct states of existence for information. On one side, you have meaning. That's the thought, the content, the intent.
The cloud in my head.
The cloud in your head. On the other side, you have text, the physical speech, or the writing on the page. Language is simply the tool that shuttles information back and forth between those two states.
So it's a bidirectional street. When I speak, I'm running the meaning-to-text algorithm.
And when you listen to me, you're running text to meaning.
Got it.
Precisely. But here is the catch that the authors point out immediately. This system is incredibly fragile. It works on a same copy requirement.
Like a network protocol.
It's exactly like a strict network protocol. If the encoder software in my brain doesn't match the decoder software in yours, down to the version number, the data packet is just lost.
That's the I don't speak Finnish problem.
Right. But it goes deeper than just different languages. It's why jargon fails.
Yeah.
If I say the API returned a 404 and you don't have the technical decoder for API or 404, you hear the words, the text arrives intact.
But the meaning doesn't.
The meaning never materializes in your circuitry. The transformer is broken.
That distinction between the text arriving and the meaning arriving, that's central to this whole deep dive. The text uses this really evocative analogy of an electrical device to explain the architecture.
The black box.
Yes, the black box. I found this super helpful for visualizing it because meaning is such a vague concept.
It is. So the analogy is you imagine a black box sitting on a table. It has a front panel with lights flashing and switches you can flip. That front panel, that's text. It's the surface. It's the observable, touchable, audible part of the machine.
Okay, so the words coming out of my mouth right now, that's just the front panel. The light's blinking.
Correct. And we spend most of our lives just staring at the front panel. But the meaning, the actual information processing, is the circuitry deep inside the box.
Stuff you can't see.
You can't see the electricity flowing through the wires. You can only guess what's happening inside by watching how the lights on the front panel change. This brings us to the distinction between surface and deep structures.
There was another metaphor in there that I loved, the water analogy.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. It describes text as the surface of the water. You can see the ripples and the waves.
Right.
But meaning, that's the root system underwater. If you see a leaf floating on the surface here and a flower floating over there, you don't know if they're connected just by looking at the ripples.
You have to dive in.
You have to dive beneath the surface to see if they share a root. That deep analysis is what gives you the actual understanding.
And the reason we need this complex surface-to-deep conversion comes down to a physical limitation of the human body. Right. The text calls it the linear constraint.
Yes.
This was probably the biggest aha moment for me in the whole thing.
It's a fundamental constraint of our biology. Think about your thoughts. Are they linear?
No, definitely not. They're all over the place. I can be hungry, annoyed at the air conditioning noise, remembering a song, and planning my next sentence, all at the exact same millisecond.
Exactly. It's parallel processing. Your brain is an orchestra playing a massive, complex chord.
But my mouth is.
But your output device, your mouth, is a solo flute.
There's such a frustrating limitation when you put it that way.
It is. The human mouth is an instrument that can basically only play one note at a time. We produce sound linearly, one foam after another.
So we're forced to do this compression.
We are forced to take that massive, multidimensional, simultaneous meaning and compress it into a thin, linear string of text.
So linguistics is basically the study of how we compress a symphony into a single melody line without losing the music.
And how we attempt to preserve the nonlinear connections, the harmony, if you will, within that linear string.
Right.
That's why text has structure. It's not just a pile of letters. You have morphs, which are the smallest units of meaning, combining into words, words into sentences, and sentences into discourse. The glue holding that linear string together is what we call coherence.
Okay, so we've established that text is the linear surface. Now let's tackle the hard part, the ghost in the machine. What is meaning? The text admits we can't actually see thoughts in the brain yet.
Not with a scanner, no.
So if we're trying to teach a computer to understand language, how do we even describe meaning to it?
This is where we leave the philosophy department and enter the engineering lab. The source outlines two main ways linguists try to sort of write down meaning for a machine so it can actually process it.
I looked at these in the notes. The first one, predicative formulas, gave me high school algebra flashbacks.
It does look like that.
I was half expecting to solve for X.
It is essentially logic. If you want to say, the little girl see the flower, a computer doesn't care about the poetry or the rhythm. It wants the variables.
So you write a formula.
Right. It might look something like, see girl, flower.
Okay, so C is the function, and girl and flower are the inputs.
Right. And then you wrap those inputs in logical modifiers. Many girl, little girl, one flower. It turns a sentence into a math equation.
It's stripping away all the fluff. So what's the second method?
Semantic networks. This one is often easier for humans to visualize. Picture a web or a directed graph.
Like a mind map.
Kind of. You have a bubble that says girl and a bubble that says flower. Then you draw an arrow from girl to flower and label the arrow C. Then you attach a bubble to girl that says little.
So it's a map of relationships.
It's a web of relationships. And the interesting thing is, whether you use the math formula or the web drawing, they represent the exact same data. The goal is to create a representation that is universal.
Universal in what sense? Like Esperanto?
No, universal in that it ignores the quirks of specific languages.
Ah.
In Spanish, girls is niñas. It has gender, it has plurality built into the word itself. In English, it doesn't. But in the semantic network, the node for young female human is the same.
So the deep structure is identical.
Exactly. Only the surface text changes.
Speaking of digging deep, I have to bring up the kill example. This blew my mind.
Right.
The text talks about decomposition, breaking a word down into its atomic elements. I never thought about the word kill having parts. To me, kill is just kill.
This is the hunt for seams, the atomic units of meaning. The text illustrates this with the verb matar, or to kill. To linguist, kill isn't a single block, it's a chain of events.
Right. The text broke it down into cause, then stop, then living.
Precisely. Cause, stop, live.
It sounds so robotic when you say it like that. I caused him to stop living.
It does.
It sounds like something a lawyer would say to get out of a murder charge.
It does, but think about why that atomization is necessary for AI. If you tell a computer, John killed the light, and the computer only knows kill equals murder.
It thinks John just committed a crime against a light bulb.
Right. It would be looking for the body. But if the computer understands the atom's cause to stop, it can look at light and say, okay, lights don't live, so he must have caused the light to stop functioning.
Which allows it to understand metaphor and nuance.
That's the key.
So we have this perfect transformer machine. Meaning goes in, text comes out. Text goes in, meaning comes out. But it's not perfect, is it?
Not by a long shot.
If it were, we wouldn't have misunderstandings. The text spends a lot of time talking about the glitches in the matrix.
The many-to-many problem. If this were a simple calculator, one meaning would equal one word, 5 always equals 5. But natural language is messy. We have synonymy and homonymy.
Synonymy seems the easier one to handle. That's many texts, one meaning, multiple keys for the same lock.
Right. But the text makes a really sharp observation here. Absolute synonyms. Words that are 100% interchangeable in every single situation are actually statistically incredibly rare.
He gave the example of Mexican Spanish. Coche and carro.
Yes, coche and carro both mean car. You can swap them anytime, but that's an outlier. Usually synonyms are partial.
Okay.
Think of the words querer, decir, and anhelar in Spanish. They all map to the concept of wanting or desiring. But anhelar is more like yearning.
Right. If I say I yearn for a sandwich, you're going to look at me weird.
Exactly. I'd assume it was a very spectacular sandwich. The meaning includes the emotional intensity, not just the object. So the machine has to know which key fits the specific social context.
But that's not the big problem.
No. The real villain here, according to the text, isn't synonymy, it's homonymy.
Homony is the nightmare for computational linguistics. This is one text, many meanings.
One key that opens 5 different doors, and you don't know which room you're entering.
And sometimes the doors lead to completely opposite places.
Oh, yeah. The Spanish examples in the text were great for this. Take the word real.
Real means real, right? Like reality. This table is real.
Yes. But it also means royal, as in pertaining to the king. Real Madrid isn't the actual Madrid, it's the Royal Madrid.
Same spelling, same sound.
Completely different deep meanings.
Or queerer. That's a classic relationship trap.
Oh, huge. Queerer can mean to wish, to like, or to love. If I say, quiero a Maria, am I saying I want something from her? That I like her as a friend? Or that I am in love with her?
And humans figure this out instantly, right? We use context.
Immediately.
If I'm holding a ring, it's love. If I'm holding a contract, maybe it's wish or want.
Exactly. But a computer, it sees the string of letters, Q-U-I-E-R-O. It doesn't see the ring. It doesn't see the contract. It has to statistically guess which deep meaning to plug into the graph.
And it gets even messier. You have polysemy, where a word just evolves new meanings over time.
Right, like university.
Yeah.
The university changed its policy versus I drove to the university. In the first sentence, university is an abstract institution, a group of people making rules.
And in the second, it's a building.
In the second, it's a pile of bricks. Those are different semantic entities.
My favorite example from the text was antigüedad.
Ah, yes. A 3-for-1. It can mean antiquity, like the historical epoch, ancient Greece. It can mean antique, an old object you buy at a store.
Or it can mean seniority, how long you've worked at a job.
Exactly.
So if I say, I value your antigüedad, am I saying, I respect your ancient history, I like your old vase, or I appreciate that you've worked here for 10 years?
Context is everything. And then you have the local curveballs.
Like estética.
Right. In standard Spanish, it means aesthetics, the philosophy of art. In Mexico,
It's a hair salon.
it's a hair salon. Imagine a translation software trying to handle that. She went to the philosophy of beauty to get a perm.
It doesn't work.
This is why homonymy resolution is the holy grail of text processing. The machine has to look at the neighboring words to figure out which meaning is active.
So we have all these layers of complexity. How do we actually move from one language to another without creating a mess?
Right.
The text describes translation not as a direct jump, but as a V-shaped process.
The multi-stage transformer. This is the architectural blueprint. You can't just take a sentence in English and swap the words for Spanish words. That's how you get gibberish. You have to go down, across, and back up.
Walk us through the V.
Okay, imagine you have a source text at the top left of the V. First, you analyze the morphology. What are the word forms? Is it plural? Past tense.
Okay.
Then you go deeper to syntax. How are the words connected? Subject, verb, object. Then, ideally, you dig all the way down to the bottom of the V semantics. The meaning.
And that's where you turn the text into that universal graph we talked about.
Exactly. You're at the deep level where language doesn't matter anymore. You've reached the pure thought.
Okay, so then what?
Once you are at that deep level, you slide across to the target language. You transfer the meaning to the target language's structure. Then you climb back up the right side of the V.
So deep meaning becomes target syntax.
Which becomes target morphology, which finally becomes the target text.
It's like dismantling a house brick by brick, looking at the blueprint, and then building a new house from scratch using different materials.
That's a perfect analogy. You don't just paint the bricks, you rebuild the structure. But, and this is a cool nuance the text adds, there is a shortcut.
The lazy translator method.
Efficient, not lazy. If the two languages are very similar, like Spanish and Portuguese, you don't have to dig all the way down to the foundation.
You can just slide across higher up.
Basically, the structures are so similar you can transfer at the morphology level. You can swap word for word and mostly get it right.
But if you're going from English to Japanese, or English to Navajo,
you're digging to the bedrock. You have to. The surface structures are so alien to each other that if you try to transfer high up, you get nonsense. You have to strip it down to pure meaning and rebuild entirely.
this brings us to the fundamental unit of all this, the sign. The text gets a little theoretical here, referencing Saussure, the grandfather of linguistics.
It does.
But I think it's crucial to understand what the machine is actually processing.
It is crucial. So the linguistic sign traditionally has two parts. The signifier, that's the sound or the picture, and the signified, the concept it represents.
Like the example of the wheelchair icon. The picture of the wheelchair is the signifier.
And the concept reserved for disabled people is the signifier.
Right.
Exactly. But the source material, which is heavily influenced by meaning text theory, or MTT, adds a third component.
Syntactics.
Syntactics.
And this is the rule book, right?
Yes. And this is where it gets interesting for the transformer idea. Syntactics defines how a sign can combine with other signs. It's like Legos. A piece might look like it fits, but if the connectors are wrong, it won't snap in.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. In Spanish, the verb ending R indicates an infinitive verb. The ending R also indicates an infinitive verb. Meaning-wise, they do the same thing. But syntactics tells you that you can only stick R onto the stem hab to speak. You get hablar. You cannot say hablar.
Even though hablar would be perfectly understandable.
The meaning would be clear. If I said hablar, you'd know what I meant. But the syntactics, the combinatorial rules of the machine, forbid it. It's a syntax error.
Now, the text wraps up by comparing three major philosophies on how to describe these signs and rules.
Yeah.
This part was a bit heavy in the notes.
A little bit, yeah.
But there was an analogy about page numbers that I thought saved the day.
It really clarifies the difference between the schools of thought. So, to simplify, imagine we are looking at a book where every sheet of paper has two sides. So page 32 is on the 16th sheet of paper.
Right.
We want to describe the relationship between the page, text, and the sheet, meaning.
Okay, so approach number one, the generative approach. This is the Noam Chomsky school, the big giant of linguistics.
The generative approach is like a recurrent formula. It tries to list every valid page number. It says page 2 exists, and if page X exists, then page X plus 2 exists.
So it's trying to generate a list of all possible valid signs.
Exactly. From an embryo, it asks, does this sign exist? It's building the library one book at a time. It's obsessed with validity.
Okay, then there's the meaning text theory, MTT, which is the hero of our source text.
MTT is different. It acts like an algorithm. It doesn't care about listing every page. It focuses on the translation rule.
So it says,
if you give me page X, I calculate sheet Y by dividing by 2. It doesn't ask if the page exists. It asks about the relationship.
It asks, if this text existed, what would it mean?
Yes. It's functional. It's about the transformation, not the generation.
And what about the last one? Constraint-based.
Constraint-based, like HPSG. This one is like a system of equations. It defines valid signs by setting constraints. It says, a valid sign is any pair where X equals 2Y. It's elegant. It doesn't generate a list. It just sets the boundary conditions for what is possible.
It's fascinating how these different theories are all trying to solve the same problem.
Yeah.
How do we get from the surface to the deep and back again? But regardless of the theory, they all agree on one thing. The connection between the word and the meaning is, well, it's pretty much random, isn't it?
The nature versus convention debate. The text mentions that people used to think words were naturally linked to their meanings. Like, a dog is called dog because it has some essential dogness.
But wait, what about onomatopoeia? A cat says meow, so we call it meow.
What?
The word comes from nature. That's not random.
That is the exception that proves the rule, and even that isn't universal. A Japanese cat says nyan, not meow. But the text shuts down the nature argument pretty quickly. If words were natural, they would be the same across all languages. But wall in English, pear in Spanish, and stena in Russian sound nothing alike.
So language is a convention. It's a contract.
It's an arbitrary contract we all sign when we learn the language. We agree that this specific noise means this specific object.
Speaking of contracts, the text leaves us with this idea that the contract is constantly being rewritten. Language isn't static. It's self-enriching.
This is the outro of the machine, so to speak. If language is a transformer, it's a transformer that upgrades its own software while it's running.
I love that.
We constantly create new meanings through metaphors and metonymies.
Like the example of the mouse. For thousands of years, that word meant a rodent. Then suddenly computers arrive, and we need a name for the little plastic pointing device.
We don't invent a new sound.
We just steal the word mouse.
That's a metaphor based on shape. Or look at SIDA in Spanish, AIDS. It started as an acronym SIDA, but now people treat it as a noun, as SIDA. It became a word.
Or estética, becoming a hair salon in Mexico.
The machine repurposed a philosophy term for a business sign.
It's amazing to think about. We are walking around with this ancient biological machine in our heads, treating it like it's just a simple tool for ordering coffee.
Hmm.
But under the hood, it's performing these complex mathematical transformations, resolving homonymy glitches, navigating deep semantic networks, and rewriting its own dictionary in real time.
And it does all of that linearizing of nonlinear thought in milliseconds, usually without us even noticing.
It really makes you forgive yourself for those moments when you can't find the right word.
Oh, absolutely.
Next time that happens, just remember, your internal orchestra is trying to squeeze a symphony through a flute. Give it a break.
Check your semantic networks and try again.
Exactly. That's it for this deep dive into the machinery of language. Thanks for listening. See you next time.